Hello everyone, this is my first review, so bear with me. The game is Red Orchestra 2 Heroes of Stalingrad, as you can see in the video. It was released today, September 14th, 2011, a day which will live in infamy in the hearts of some gamers, but others not so much.
Holy
This is a very early review of the initial release, and since I don't have a lot of experience with the game, or with making reviews, or with recording myself, this review is more on the side of an initial impression than it is of a thorough and in-depth review. So, being a fan of
finally.
Red Orchestra 2 and Tripwire and everything they've done so far, including Killing Floor, and also being a Red Orchestra Ozfront vet, I think I'm entitled to my opinion here, and if you disagree with me, please kindly say so in the comments, or not so kindly. I can handle myself, so... Alright, moving on. So, the game takes place in Stalingrad, Russia, as you probably are already aware. It takes place at the height of World War II, before the US involvement. It's this setting that kind of makes the game interesting, as most games come from kind of a rah-rah America standpoint, perspective. But this one takes place in a completely different, unexplored area of World War II. Despite the market being kind of saturated with World War II shooters, not so much these days, but over the years, it's kind of nice that a game made a departure from that. I mean, the original Red Orchestra did too, but Red Orchestra was kind of a sleeper hit. This one is more of a mainstream hit, so it's kind of nice to go off the beaten track with this title in terms of the setting. So right away, I'm going to talk about the first impressions of the game. Coming directly from Red Orchestra 1, actually, considering I was playing Red Orchestra 1 to get myself pumped up for Red Orchestra 2, most of my first impressions were based on the difference between the two games. The difference in the graphics was the thing that stood out the most, but as well as with the little stuff too, is like the core gameplay mechanics and the weapon handling and things like that were the first things I noticed, having come directly from Red Orchestra. And I have a lot of good things to say, so yeah, I'll get that out of the way. The graphics, first of all, stuck out a lot. The game moved into the Unreal 3 engine. Having played a number of Unreal 3 engine games, going back to like Gears of War and the unfortunate America's Army 3 title, I have a love and hate relationship with the engine. The texture pop-ins are a small thing that annoys me, but the netcode, as I experienced with the development of America's Army 3, is kind of spotty, and there's also lag issues in this game. Not really sure whose fault it is, but the game works 90% of the time. Graphics are beautiful. The attention to detail is outstanding. The engine doesn't limit it in any way. I'm really happy with the way the game looks, and as I said, the textures, the models, the attention to detail is just spot on. You can enter every building. Everything is modeled right down to the smallest detail. At first I was worried about the map size because, the original Red Orchestra had large fucking maps, for a game that wasn't like an open world kind of engine. But the Unreal 3 engine actually has comparable map sizes to the larger maps of Red Orchestra Ozfront, so I didn't really, I don't have a problem with it at all. It's fine. It has the same epic scale that the original Red Orchestra has. It has that same feeling of like, holy shit, there's a lot of guys over there. There's a tank. This whole open area is just, a war zone. We have to, yeah, like it has that whole epic sense of scale that the original game had. It captures it really well, and you can tell that they spent 5 years in development, or however long it took to make this game, nailing it down, and they did it. So no problems with the engine, no problems with the graphics really. I'll get into the glitches later, but yeah, core gameplay mechanics, cover system, fucking awesome. Sometimes it's a bit dodgy when you try to lock onto an object. You lock onto the wrong thing, and it's not really locking onto, more of like leaning up against in the first-person view. But the game isn't psychic. It doesn't know where you're trying to latch onto, so you can't really fault it there. The cover system as a whole is, really well done. Movement is fine, responsive. Everything's responsive. Weapons are responsive. Weapon handling is fine. Yeah, no real problems there. Some of the more nitpicky players have issues already. For a first release, I mean, there's going to be some fine-tuning, as there needs to be, just like every release of every game, ever. But, right now I'd say the core gameplay mechanics are pretty hammered down, and I have no immediate problems with anything, having come directly from Red Orchestra and having played Red Orchestra for years, as well as Darkest Hour. So yeah, no problems at all. Sound and music, weapons have a major oomph. The musical score in the background varies depending on the situation, which is really nice. In Red Orchestra, the original one, I used to turn the music off, but in this one, I keep it on because I really enjoy it. It really kind of revs up the atmosphere and gets me immersed in the game. I can't say that about the previous titles. So that's an improvement there. And the sounds are great. The sounds of the weapons, the sounds of explosions, the screaming, the agony, the death. Oh man, it sounds like a smorgasbord of awesome. So yeah, no problems there. One thing I would say though is that I'm not a huge fan of the voiceovers being in English of the characters. I understand that you want to hear your own team in English and so forth. I'm not sure if there's an option to switch to just Russian or German, like hearing maybe that's what realism mode is. I'm not sure. I have only spent about 10 hours playing this title so far, so I can't say for sure. But I prefer not to have the English voiceovers when I'm playing the game. However, the voices are still great, the voice acting is great, and no problems there either. Now, I'm going to move on to talk about the glitches a lot of people have been having. The feedback on the forums has been nothing short of atrocious. I mean, I didn't play the beta. The reason I didn't play the beta was not because I'm poor and couldn't afford the extra $6. It was because I wanted to play the final product first, and I didn't want to, be the guinea pig just so I could play it like a week earlier, like some people wanted to, which is fine. But, people expected way too much from it, I think, in the first release, and I think they were too hard on it. Suddenly, glitches that had to do with lag and low FPS on certain systems became, like, game-breaking, like, oh my god, this game is terrible issues. When in reality, these issues will be hammered down in a couple of months. And since the core gameplay, the graphics, the sound, everything is solid, I think that it's really going to start to shine after a couple of patches, and people are really going to move over to this title as a spiritual successor to Red Orchestra. I think people are really going to begin to see why this is an excellent title after the patches have come out. Because, as I said before, everything about this game is just great. I talked about the specifics, but the overall feel of this game, in contrast with the previous game, it just feels like they learned all of the lessons from Red Orchestra, all of the things they could improve, things they could take away, things they could put in, and they've made a better product, objectively so. And, if you disagree with me, fine. It's just my opinion. This game is more mainstream. It's not a sleeper hit. It's going to be a big game. So there is some concessions there. Like the casual mode is a bit too casual for me. However, I mean, as a game, I think it's an extremely solid game, and I think that it'll keep the original fans happy if they give it a fucking chance, and the new fans happy as well if they can just bear with the team while they hammer out the patches. I'm really happy with it, and I would buy another copy just to support Tripwire, but I'm not going to because of, yeah. Anyway, I recommend it. 4 out of 5 stars, 80%, 5 out of 5 once it gets patched up, and yeah. Thanks for listening.